So take all the words that I'm about to say really lightly because it never touches this. The beauty and simplicity that this is all there is and that nothing's actually happening. There's no movement. There's no time. There's no going somewhere. The story of my life, of where I've been and where I'm going to go, it's not really real. And a lot of peace and freedom and it's not even total okayness. It's just the absence of that, of the restlessness, of the what's next, that energy that can't really be. It's just the absence of that. And then it just becomes clear that this is it. But it's also nice to know that if that arises, it's not a problem. It's also this. No one's really creating that, in charge of it. Yeah, so it's really beautiful that you can't make this into something. It's not a process. So it can seem like a process because there's been an accumulation of really believing that we're going somewhere. Time just felt really real. So when that is dissolving, it feels like something is dissolving, feels like something is flickering in and out. Sometimes it's stronger than ever. Sometimes it's pretty clear. And that's just how it is. Seems like that's how it goes. And the body is able to purge or feel through everything, everything. And so, not necessarily by choice, but you kind of become a master of feeling. And it's not really that you're feeling it, it's you have no choice anymore. It's just here if it's here. And it'll come up as long as it comes up, as often as it comes up. And it's partially nice that you don't have control in it. You know, it's not your fault, doesn't mean anything about you. And it can simultaneously destroy this dream and hope that it could be better than this, or it should be. But in that death is is just here-ness. It's just this constantly. I was watching a show about addicts. We're all addicts, by the way. They're not that different from anyone else. But I guess there are more extreme versions of that that can be quite painful and destructive. Um, but I was kind of seeing, I know this isn't really true, it's just an analogy, but I was kind of seeing the similarities of this is like recovery. This is recovery from that personal energy that is so intense. It's so restless. It's constantly trying to get in all of these different ways. And it's very innocent. And for different bodies, it's just going to vary, like what it attached itself to in order to try and just feel okay. And then there are ideas and beliefs that are constructed around why it justified why you live that way. And this kind of breaks all of that apart, or it kind of brings it to light. Like maybe that's not really true. Maybe that's not going to fix this. Maybe that was just suppressing what was here constantly over and over. I'm not saying you didn't chip away at surface level stuff, but um, when you get to the core essence of existing as something or someone, nothing's going to get rid of it. Nothing's going to make it go away. Meaning like no coping mechanism or nothing is going to suppress it anymore. So with addicts, like that's the extreme version of trying to not exist, not be here, not feel what's here. You're trying to numb out, or just feel good. And yeah, when you're going through recovery, it's like you have to face everything you've been running from. Not all at once, but little by little. And you might feel guilty, you might feel regret, you might see the harm that you've done to others, even though it might have been like you didn't really know at the time, you didn't really see clearly. Yeah, and you feel through just guilt and shame. But I will say, like, a lot, part of the freedom was like accepting. And again, I didn't really accept. It was kind of like really choiceless because I saw like it would just arise as long as it arose. Um, that I couldn't get rid of the guilt. I couldn't get rid of the shame. I couldn't get rid of the wrongness, the badness, the self-hatred. I mean, that doesn't even make sense. But this like, ugh, I don't, I don't like this. I don't like myself. I don't like, and it burns up. It might not feel like that at the time, but and so yeah, these energetic patterns are not only in in the brain, it's like everywhere in the body. It's everywhere. So the brain is being reprogrammed. The body feels like it's cellularly changing, purging. It's kind of crazy. But yeah, in the beginning, it'll feel pretty horrible. It'll feel like you're going through withdrawal. Um, it'll feel like you just want to go back to the old way, to the familiar, and that makes sense. Yeah, and in a way, like the body or the nervous system, it does need time to get accustomed to how bare this can be. I don't interpret it as bare anymore. It's actually just beautiful, clear, but it can be really scary. So I'm just saying this part for fun, but um it really felt like since you have to go through this in order to really energetically feel what it feels like. And also, when something leaves, it's just gone. You can't really play into it in the same way. And so then there are normal people out there who will only know what they know. So they will encourage you to get stuff, to fill your life, fill the space, fill your time, get, achieve, become. And it can feel really off-putting. It can feel really like you can't relate to it. Yeah, and it's not that you're the problem. It's just that there's going to be a dissonance. There's going to be like, I can't relate. I can't do that anymore. I can't keep consuming in that way. Yeah. And the more clear it gets, it's like, and now it's seen like the insane want you to stay insane because that's all they know. They don't think it's insanity. They think that that's healthy and normal. Um, and that's the way to, I guess, some sort of happiness. Yeah, so then I can understand when people look at me because they don't know any different. They will think that there's a problem here, that um, there's something wrong with me. And I can understand it. It's okay. I get why they can't understand and they will never understand unless they go through this. And they don't need to. So yeah, whatever you would like to express, if you would just like to have a conversation, it doesn't matter. You're welcome to raise your hand. Hi, Evo. Yeah. Oh, yeah, it's pinned. It's good to see you.
Yay!
Hey.
Hello.
Hi.
Long time no see, at least
Yeah.
from showing myself.
Yeah, it's good to see you.
Hmm. When you were talking about the show that you recently watched about addiction or getting free of it or whatever, and when you said we are actually addicts, we are all addicts in different forms, um, I had the urge to raise this digital hand um, because um, sometimes I get the feeling that I struggle with online stuff, like being engaged in a being engaged online with I don't know. There are so many possibilities. YouTube, watching movies, shows, social media, you name it, you get it. Um, And some years ago, I got to a point where I was like, damn, I miss out on life being online. I miss out being like yeah, being in the physical or real world, however you want to call it. And I think then I was a little bit forceful with myself. Like I decided to cut off the internet connection in my house to get rid of it. So I actually cannot engage anymore. And from that point on, um, I I felt I think I felt more and more anxiety. Surprise! I don't know. and um, and it got to a point where I was dealing inside of myself with extreme form of this so-called OCD. Um, and I couldn't handle it anymore. So it arose and I knew I knew I was suffering in that moment. Like I have to do this, I have to do this, I have to do this. Um, and I cannot stop it because otherwise I will feel, I don't know, terrible or whatever. And the story in my head tells me, okay, maybe you got rid of your coping mechanisms. In that case, internet, online stuff. And then something arose and it was so hard you couldn't handle it. And then your psyche did some OCD shit with it to feel safe again. I don't know. Um, and now it got better. Um, yeah, I'm doing some kind of therapy, stuff like this. And now I can do things again that I did before. I can work again, stuff like this. So I'm functioning again. Woo. Um,
Nice.
maybe I touched something inside of me during that time, and I'm still in touch with it right now. Like during the time when I had this OCD anxiety thing going on, my capability to participate in this outside world got tighter and tighter and tighter to a point where I couldn't move actually physically anymore. And I think I got some kind of guidance during that time to go inward. And like, if you can't move, why you don't, I don't know, stay inward or something like this. And I don't know, maybe I wouldn't got to that place when I would still be able to be outside of me, like ah, la, 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 la. So, and then I was like, and then I had to, I don't know, feel myself. And it's still here, even though I can start to participate again. It's still here, and that's wonderful, actually. Even though it's like if I could resume that time, I would because it wasn't very pleasant. Um, and I guess my question is like I feel it feels that I spend less time in the internet nowadays, or on a screen in general. Mm, Sometimes I don't like it, or it feels even it feels like a burden to be with the screen, you know? Sometimes it feels that I get out of myself when I'm with the screen or when I'm online or whatever. Like I get out, and this is not very pleasant actually. I feel my heart is contracting and getting a little tight. I cannot remember stuff very well. Um, on one hand, um, and maybe there's a story in my head. Oh, I want to get rid of it. I want to be clean, but I think I try to be radical with it, to shut it down, and then, man, I experienced severe OCD, and this wasn't pleasant. So maybe there's a middle way, um, or
Yeah.
when I was thinking about it, you were still speaking, and I was like, ah, maybe I have to sit with this severe anxiety. Like, for example, if when this meeting closes, maybe when I sit and I get the urge of, oh, check your phone, and there's not just this anxiety anymore. Not There's not just the anxiety which I cannot name, which makes me a little bit. It's also now, ooh, if I don't give myself the addiction, or if I don't give it to me, I could end up in OCD again, you know? So now there's not just unnameable fear, there's now a fear of the fear.
Yeah, I
Um,
understand. Yeah. I think you're doing really, really well. Because I think it's also kind of experimenting what happens because you didn't know that that was going to happen, but you saw. Like it's really intense when you cut it off completely like that. For now, it might be a little too intense. So, um, yeah, maybe you don't have to cut it off completely like that for now. Um, just so you know that I've noticed that the body itself can get addicted and the personal energy amplifies it, like makes it about me and complicates it a lot more. But the body itself can still get addicted to things. So I still have to like mitigate certain things because it also feels bad for the body. So you're not gonna like completely be clear of things in that way. Just so you know, like there's no perfection in that way. And
Damn it.
Well, hopefully that makes you feel better. Like it's not what you said is very understandable. Um, and sometimes it needs to be that extreme for you to just see for yourself, like what it does to your body in particular, because what's being said here, like in an intro, let's say, is so broad. And if there's a real tendency for like OCD and stuff like that, then yeah, it's better to be more gentle and just see for yourself um, what works best for you.
Um, Sometimes it feels, or in the past, I sometimes compared it to being addicted to like heroin or something like that. And it's a weird thing because when I compared it to it, you feel that you need the next shot, and you don't want to have the next shot because you know what this next drug shot will do with you. But you kind of have to do it to get a kind of an ease, and then you have to decide to do this thing which kind of you don't like anymore, but you have to do it to don't get crazy or something.
Mm-hmm.
And on the other hand, when I'm recently, I thought about, okay, when I don't do it, like getting my next shot, um, maybe what can I do differently, or what could I do instead, like reading or stuff like this. Um, but this also sometimes feels very, or like, oh, I could meditate, I could read, and this feels forceful as well. Then, like, I feel this comes from here somehow. And yeah, I had the idea of, maybe when it arises the next time, to just sit with it, actually, to don't meditate, don't do this or that, what I think would be good but to just sit with it. Oh man, maybe I would get a little aggressive. I feel no. I don't
Mm.
know. Mm, I don't know.
And it's also okay if there's aggression that comes up. What you described, you're not doing anything wrong. There's not a perfect formula. So, and nothing is going to work all the time. And it's gonna constantly kind of change what works for you in every single instance. Um, and you have to be fluid. You have to just see, sometimes sitting with it, not even intentionally, like, but it just feels right that, okay, being with it feels like it just wants to happen or the best thing, even if it's a little forced. Um, because also your body can handle a lot, it can feel a lot. Um, and also sometimes it might freak out, and then it's okay to like calm it down and give it certain things that will make it feel better for the moment.
Sometimes I hate it.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a constant like push and pull and trying to navigate how do I make the body feel okay. That makes sense. But you're doing great. You're doing exactly what you need to do.
Thank you.
Yeah. How does it feel in the body right now?
Mm. One part wants to go out, and the other part wants to go down, and I'm in between somehow,
Mhm.
like wee 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 wee.
Yeah. So what
Yeah.
if right now I gave you permission to go into the body? So you don't have to say anything. You could just focus the attention wherever there's energy in the body. And I'm just going to sit here with you. There's no rush. If you need to move, it's also okay.
It's interesting to observe um, that it feels like there is an energy arising, and then I immediately want to interpret that with thoughts. Like there's an energy arising, and then thoughts want to make a little story about it or something. And maybe the story isn't wrong, but
Yeah. What's the story? The stories are okay. It's not absolute truth, but the stories are okay. You don't have to say, just keep it for yourself. Just note it.
I feel like anger.
Nice.
I don't know.
It's good.
And I
You're allowed
feel
to
like
feel.
mm, and I feel like when I don't control it too much, then I could hurt someone, you know? Yeah, I don't know. And it's like then there's something energetically want to go out, and then I have to stop myself. So it's or I and it's absolutely okay. It's just how it is now. And it's like out and oh stop it because we don't know what will happen. And then go yeah was
That's normal.
and I feel recently it comes out a little bit just in nuances, a little bit more and more. Um, and maybe a little bit from my past. Um, I think since I'm a little or right now I have the feeling that people like really pulled and pushed on me, you know? Like come here, do this, do that, blah 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 blah, blah," and you're a child, which maybe cannot defend itself very well yet, and you're like, this is exhausting,
Mm,
and people do weird things with you, energetically and physically.
mm.
Man, people are weird.
Yeah, that's really beautifully described. Yeah, it gets so complicated within.
Maybe it's right to be angry, you know, to be angry
Yeah,
about
it
it.
makes sense. It makes total sense.
Maybe I will punch the pillows later on a little bit, like,
Yeah, that sounds good. I mean, so it's hard to like, part of the nice thing about this can also be that it's hard to pinpoint one person that's at fault. It can sometimes it can feel like our parents are the ones, but it's like they're just an uh, they are society itself. Like whatever we're brought up into, that environment is us. We can't escape it unless we're out of that environment. We were raised completely differently or something like that. It's like, yeah, all of humanity is like that. And it might feel like specific traits in a person that you can identify was the thing, but at large, if you zoom out a little more, it's like it's absolute chaos, and how that individual body dealt with it. Yes, it'll have different flavors, but like ultimately, it was just absolute insanity that everyone was dealing with. And then we're born into this world and we have to like deal with the insanity as well. That's why you're doing amazing. And anger will and should arise. It should just be freely allowed to express. Um, and that feeling of harming another, I think that's normal when the body's kind of not accustomed to a certain intensity of something, it might have that kind of caution. I think that's okay. But also I want to tell you that you it's inevitable that you harm. Everyone does. Everybody. It's impossible to not harm. So then it's like you're still going to be relatively cautious, but you don't have to be overly cautious because it's like it's impossible.
but if we are spiritual enough, we don't harm others anymore. Isn't it right? Uh, yeah.
The more you allow your body to go through what it needs to go through, that'll naturally happen. Not because you're spiritual, but just because it makes sense.
Right. I remember there was a time 1.5 years ago, and I did some kind of body exercises, but like specifically to engage with anger, like in yourself, and it was interesting during that time that when I in these weeks where I did these exercises, I got into contexts where the anger came out, like we could call it a conflict, and and it even got like physical, but it felt right afterwards. Like nobody was harmed and stuff like this, but there was conflict, and even physically, but no one was harmed. Yeah, but in the end, it felt right, and it was in that moment where I was in contact with my anger, and the anger wasn't projected to the other one. It was just inside of me, and I could feel it, and with that I could engage, and it wasn't mad or something like this. It wasn't explosive. I, yeah, man, I think I will engage in that a little bit again and see what happens.
Because, a lot of the time, I think, understandably, when we're not honest, uh, because we've been so, like you said, pushed and pulled in childhood, or we're just trying to mitigate. We're trying to make other people happy. We don't say the truth. And then we get into the habit of doing that. Anger will build up. The truth needs to be spoken, and it might have a tone of anger for a while because it's just been suppressed for years and years, and that's okay. It might come out harshly. There might be aggression, but it needs to come out, The truth needs to be told for your body to be free of that and not hold it in. Yeah, you're not doing anything wrong. It's actually really beautiful.
Thank you. Thank you for all you do here. For all you
Yeah.
be here.
Uh, thanks so much. It's lovely to see you again.
Yay. Bye.
Yeah. All right. Thanks so much for sharing. It was beautiful. Hi, Clee.
Hi.
Hi. It's good to see you.
It's really good to see you too. It's so nice coming on and seeing faces I recognize, and it's really nice. It's really, really nice seeing faces I recognize when nothing has to be said, like it's only ever me talking to you or people talking to you, and still like I feel like I know people, and there's a feeling of acceptance just as is. With all the seemingly crazy shit we say here and talk about, and keep coming back week after week and smiling and feeling each other, and it's just it's a real highlight for me. Yeah, it has felt really important to be whatever that means, but it has felt really important to make it here.
Oh, that's beautiful.
I it was you were saying at the beginning how there's this shame and this guilt, and it just doesn't, like, nothing you do, it doesn't go anywhere, the self-hate. And I woke up this morning and chose self-hate, it seems. I woke up and I just, everything has been building up and building up and building up, it seems. And then this morning, just one small thing, I said something to my husband, and it was an effort to try and help, which was unnecessary. And I tried to hold my ground, and he tried to hold his, and then I realized that it was I didn't need to say the thing. But then I felt wrong, and it was like this ton of bricks that had been building and building and building and was precariously there, just kind of fell. And I spent, must have been 2 or 3 hours this morning just in, like, I mean, tears or sobbing doesn't, like, I was just like inconsolable, and there was just no end, and it doesn't even feel like I got to an end. Actually, my head hurt. And I was like, okay, my head's hurting, my stomach's rumbling. My husband was with me the whole time and holding me and listening, and this time usually that's good and it helps, and like I move through, and it's almost like this emotional release, and at the end I feel lighter and free, and oh, wonderful, wonderful. This time it was just not that at all.
Mm.
It was just I was the thoughts that were there, it was confusing because there was a knowing that they're just thoughts, and they're just thoughts, but they felt so real. They felt realer than they have in years. And but also with that still knowing that they're not, like this absolute knowing that they're not, and yet this absolute belief in them as well. Like it was so confused, odd.
That's beautifully expressed.
And I have that sense a lot of the time. I'm like, I know that to be true. I know that I don't know. And usually the truth is always a not knowing. But there's always this, like, the belief is incredibly strong, incredibly strong. And today it was like I was just in the bind, just didn't let up, did not let up. As soon as I felt like there was this calming, I was like, no more. And just like this, I don't want to be here. I can't do this anymore. I can't do this anymore. This is too much. I don't want to do this anymore. And I couldn't find comfort in my husband. Like I just couldn't find comfort there. If I did, it was like for a minute or two, and I'm like, well, he shouldn't be doing this. I'm like, I'm too much. He shouldn't have to do this. And then a stifling of myself, and then the stifling really doesn't work. So I'm stuck between stifling myself to try and make it okay for him, and knowing that that's really not working. But I don't want him to go away. But he can't be here when I do. And it was just,
Yeah, that is really well said. It sounds so unbelievably familiar. Yeah,
good. I'm sad. It's disappointing to hear that because I wouldn't wish it on anyone, but yeah,
I know.
there's just no way out. That's what he was saying. Like, there's no way out. The shame, like this self-hate, this self-hate, like there's nothing I can do right. And yet I can see that when this mindset is here, when this knowing, this understanding is there, it doesn't matter if I've saved 1 million people. It doesn't matter if I've created the cure for cancer. It does not matter, because all I can focus on is how bad and wrong I am. That's
Mm.
all I can see. Because if I've cured cancer, I should have done it earlier. And if I 1 million people, then I should have done it earlier, because I then didn't save the other people. All I can see is the bad. That's all I can see, which is
Mm.
incredibly frustrating, because a few weeks ago I had like these sort of emotional releases, and like afterwards, I'm like, oh, I feel free and clear, and I can see the good in things and the good in people and in myself, and this is lovely. Oh, great. And now, like, yeah, don't don't rely on those emotional releases because they also will not be reliable. It will also not always work, whatever that means.
Beautiful. Yeah, nothing is going to replicate itself. It's just going to be what it is, a one-off every time. Yeah.
Yeah, every time. Yeah. And as soon as I try and make it what it was, it cannot be that ever.
Mm-mm. Yeah. Because it's completely fresh and new. Whether it feels horrible right now or good, it's just like, yeah, it'll always be what it is, never the same as before.
I'm so glad that I had my nervous breakdown today. I'm so glad that I could be here today. I
Yeah.
find myself last few weeks, I really don't want to talk to people. Like I don't want to talk to people that I've close friends. I have very, very little interest.
Yeah.
I have like a few words in me, a very short conversation, maybe with my parents, although stuff with my dad has got better, which is weird and lovely. Um, but it's just like, okay, that's cool. What's next? It's
I
just
know.
unrelenting.
Yeah. It's just really well said. Like you can't even really register the good because the mind is actually it focuses on the bad naturally for one. And uh yeah, then it's kind of like a shame, like, oh, should I be more grateful? Like, should I practice gratitude? And it's like, no, I that it doesn't work, you know? Like, okay, you could thank you for this, thank you. But it's like that's it, it's gone. You know, it's not like a sustainable thing that you could hold on to anymore.
And I went yesterday, I was curious. I went to this family constellations thing that I've seen before, which is, I don't know if you've heard of it or done it. It's really interesting. Kind of strangers role play different people in your family, and then they they actually become the people in your family without telling them, without them knowing anything. They start to pick up on the energy and just play things out, and it's really cool. But the guy who was leading it, and I knew this was going to happen because this happens every time. I am always disappointed by any spiritual personal development practices or things that claim to heal, like just disappointment every single time. But this was, I was curious just about the magic of it, and it was cool. And there was something that I was talking about or going through, and I asked a question, and he was like, "Well, no, that's it. You need to work on this later or something." And he's like, "No, like we've planted the seed. Now if you can't let it go, you need to go and work on it or something." I was like, "Okay." Again, how I can't I'm still doing these things. I'm still trying to find that last, trying to clear, get to the core of any possibility of anything else helping me. Like, but maybe no, but no, 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 no.
Yeah. Yeah, and it needs to just happen that way.
Which is helpful knowing that because it means I don't like I run towards it instead of if I still have the energy to do it, I'm like, okay, let's do it quickly because I know it'll disappoint, but I need the disappointment because it's still not disappointed me enough.
Exactly.
It's just tiring and annoying.
Yeah.
The shame and guilt one is just like,
I know it's really overwhelming.
and I trust, apart from you and the people on this call and my husband on the most part, I trust no one to talk
I
about it
know.
because it's nice to fix everyone or pity. And I hate that as well. I don't want to be pitied.
Yeah.
I don't want to look at me like I feel that enough as it is. Thank you. But I also don't want to be told I'm strong. Like, oh, you're so strong. Like, no, you can't get it right. I can't get it right. Let's just agree on that. Like, I don't know what the answer is, but there. I know that there's something because I come here and we talk, and I'm like, oh, there's no fix, but I don't hate everything so much right now. Oh, cool. So there
Yeah.
is a way. It's not quite that way, but it is. There's. I know there is. I taste it here. I know there is. I have moments of it. But I'm tired of chasing it as well. I'm too tired.
I know. I mean, from what I can see is that when it came from a person who thought they knew and they said, "Oh, you're so strong," or "You're doing so great," it was just like, yeah, it's not that I don't want to trust you, it's that I can't. I just can't because you have not gone through what I'm going through right now. So you have no idea what this is actually like and what the human condition is actually like and how uncontrollable it actually is. So you're coming from a place of like, I know the answer and this will make you feel better. But it's like, no, there's no answer in that way, like not a definitive answer. It's just, but when it comes from someone who's like empty and they know that there's nothing that you could really do with what's going on here except for letting it be as it is for the most part, even if there's pushing and squirming and getting and trying all of these things, like even that's just allowed. You can sense like from that place, it's like you are doing so well. Like I deeply do know what it takes to feel through all of the confusion, like all of the restlessness and hopelessness, and still trying to get and do, even though you know for the millionth time it's not going to work. Um, like I actually do know how that feels, how devastating that actually is, how exhausting it actually is, what it actually takes for the body to break down enough to be like, fuck, I'm empty handed again and it's not my fault. I didn't do anything wrong. You didn't do anything wrong. There's nothing more that you could do. There is no suppressing that you can do. All of that stuff is just going to be temporary for the moment. It doesn't even work anymore. And again, you're left with simplicity. It's just guilt. It's just shame. It's just here. And there is no answer. And that's why it
As
is really, sorry.
I was just gonna say, as I was feeling everything this morning, like I know the thing that actually does help, like you said, is like letting the stories flow. Actually, holding them in just makes them go over and over and over. They don't go anywhere. It's the same story on repeat for hours.
Yeah.
It doesn't like it has to move. It's funny. My husband's like, "Do you want to go for a walk? Do you want to move?" Like, no, God, no fucking way. No way. No, no. But I do need movement. I need these things to be said. I need something to come through. And I found myself just asking, what's wrong with me? What's wrong with me? What's wrong with me? What's wrong with me?
Hmm.
And getting to this little, I felt like a little girl again. And like, why did my mum leave? Why was I not good enough for my mum to stay?
Hmm.
And I've questioned that logically, but I've never really sat and felt that fully. fully. So there, really felt it. And like my husband, his mom was depressed and crazy, and they were homeless for a long time when they were kids, but she never left. Crazy, and I don't like spending time with her, but she loves him, and he has zero problems with feeling knowing that he is loved. He knows he is loved, and I'm like, how come you had that? And there must be something wrong with me. There must be something
Mm.
wrong with me. My mom left, and it was so weird, like so odd, because I said it, and I got to a point where was I wasn't pretty enough, or I wasn't smart enough, or I wasn't sweet enough, and I was like, go like just really trying to logic it out. Like,
Mm.
what did I need to do? But then there was this like adult self. There was this genuine like this truth. It was very quiet, and I didn't really want to listen to it because I wanted to feel, but there was this kind of this there's something there that was like, oh yeah, I didn't do anything wrong. And it still fucking sucks. Like, oh, I was kind of seeing like she was upset. My dad was hard. She wanted to feel. My dad could. All of it's like it was seen. It was all seen. And then the devastation is such a good word. The devastation is like I thought once I really saw it and I really got it that I would feel better, and I don't.
Gorgeous. Yeah, I know. It's tragic. It still
They
hurts.
tell you they find the root cause and feel it, and that's what they tell you.
I know. Everyone has something to tell you. This is the answer, but no, it's still devastating. It's devastating to see what happens to us, to every human, really. It hurts. And you're allowed to hurt.
It really sucks.
You know, it's such a deep wound. Like having someone that's supposed to be there to take care of you and protect you and to not have them physically there, like it's massive. It'll affect you in ways that is,
The mind just constantly tries to, God, it tries to make sense of things. It's just never ending. Like my childhood wasn't that bad. No, yes, it was. No, it wasn't. Yes, it was. No, it wasn't. Other people have it harder, and they're fine. Why am I not? Like just over and over.
yeah, they're not really fine. They're just, getting by.
Yeah.
But I was doing the exact same thing, just so you know. Like, you shouldn't complain this much. It wasn't that bad. They did this, they did that. And it's true. Okay, fine. And, but I still had to feel the hurt and the pain. I just didn't feel good. And I couldn't help it.
It seems as though there is this more, I was going to say certainty, but I don't know if that's the right word, clarity that other people don't know. And so
Yeah.
don't talk to them. Before it was
Yeah.
like, well, I want friends and it'd be nice at least, and I should try. And at this point, it sends me into a tailspin every time because I have to, in my head, I'm going, that's not true. That's not true. You're hiding. I hate when you do that. You're telling me what to do, but you don't know that you're telling me. Like, I can see everything that someone says, whether it's true or not, that I think I see the truth of what they say. I think I see the truth of what's going on. And maybe sometimes I'm right and sometimes I'm wrong. But I'm just constantly interpreting, constantly finding ways of them making me wrong, which is true sometimes. And it's so exhausting. But there's as we're talking here, like there is a clarity that like I can't. Like it's just, and there's almost, and seeing that, it's like, okay, well, as messy as it feels in here, that intelligence is finding its way. It's it the intelligence knows what it's doing.
Beautiful. So it's like it's such a bummer that yeah, the tolerance for being around people like it does diminish, but it's also really beautiful because it's like even though you don't know, there was this feeling of like maybe people do know. And it
Yeah.
really just made you feel worse. But now it's getting much, much clearer. Like, oh, no one knows shit. And I could see that really clearly now. So it's like it's okay that I don't know. I can just feel okay with the shame, you know? At least one layer has come off of it.
Mm. It's funny that the people I actually feel more able to be around are my family. Whereas before, I couldn't stand being around my family. Everyone else was easier. Whereas now, because I've looked so much at my stuff that I see it in them, and I know for sure, those are the people for sure I know have no idea what they're doing because I was doing the exact same behavior. I am doing exact same behavior, and I know exactly where it comes from for me. So I know exactly what's happening for them. They just don't know it. So it's way easier to see it and love them and be with them because I just kind of go, oh, they're doing that thing again. Oh, whatever.
Hmm. Nice.
To a degree, obviously.
Yeah, yeah,
Other
I
times,
know.
yeah.
Yeah. I also kind of noticed like I don't know if it was like this all the time, but I, I only had the energy and care really for immediate family more and more than like trying to maintain all of these other relationships or something like that. I don't know. It was just more immediate. And yeah, I think at this point it's like yeah, it's just strange. The people that you were trying to run away from, which is your family, which is understandable. It's like now I'm like, yeah, they're the only ones I really, really care about.
So funny. Occasionally, I've talked to, I don't know, some old friends who are in personal development and business world, and I tell them that like just occasionally they say, well, why are you doing that? I'm like, I don't know what else to do. There's just this. I kind of use the language that I'd use here, but I'm careful not to use with other people sometimes. But they ask me the question, and I'm just like, I surrender. I don't know what else to do. I just do what's here. And they go, wow, that's so impressive. That's so cool. It's really interesting. And like they make it this thing that it's like as if I'm choosing it. which is literally the opposite of what I've just told them. But they like put it on a pedestal in some way, like, wow, I really, I'm like, people just don't hear. Obviously they don't and they can't. And you just, and every time that happens, I'm like, cool, I'm out.
Yeah.
You're great, but no, I can't.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
Something that I feel quite, I still have this idea quite strongly that I should be in my body more. I need to stop being so much in my head and be in my body. But I can't control that.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I think this is where I was obsessed with being in the body. It became my way of avoiding what's actually here, honestly. But because it was so restricted, it was so like rigid. But here it really felt like there's actually no difference. Like the thoughts are the same energy as anything else in a way. So like wherever the attention is like that's where it is. Who's the one forcing it in the body? It's that same energy that thinks it has control. So it doesn't happen as much anymore to constantly force it and direct it.
Mm.
But there are times where you could see like being in the mind drives you absolutely crazy. And it like either puts so much pressure there that you have headaches or you can't sleep or whatever it is, that sometimes then it's like it goes into the body, you know, or there's a collapse into the body. But to a large degree, there's no difference. It's all just energy.
I read in a forum I was in the other day that, like you, this girl said that she did somatic work and nervous system regulation to the point where she realized she was doing it to avoid her feelings, which I thought
Exactly.
was just so funny. That's the whole point, and we just use all these things to get away from what's here, and it's so simple. You can't make a lot of money out of just saying it's this. Like
Yeah.
people want to achieve and strive and make money to be good and better and blah 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 can't use it's just this. It's not very far to go with that.
Yeah. Beautiful. You do see that it's all because of money and marketing and making something more special than something else that makes us escape this. It's constantly out there. It's constantly not this. And um because anything that the person uses, anything will become a thing, will become the way, will become more important, will become a stuckness, will become no matter what it is, even if it's meditation or being in the body, or if it becomes a thing, it's like, nope, you're trapped. But understandably, maybe I come off really harshly, but I know where it comes from. Like we're just desperate to escape. We don't want to feel the shame. We don't want to feel the guilt. We think that it should be gone by now. And to avoid it feels better, feels like we have it if we avoid it.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're so gorgeous in every way.
Thank you.
I swear, when I hear someone speaking like that, and it might appear messy to the person who is more rigid and feels like they have something, this is so much more refreshing and honest and liberating, and it just is real.
I feel the same when anyone else is sharing. Like when it just feels messy as shit and we're trying to get somewhere and there's nowhere to get and we know it but we don't know it and my
Yeah.
body just goes, oh, okay, cool.
Yeah. Yeah. Like it's confusing for everyone. Yeah. Those that think they have it, it's like they're the most lost.
So we should hold on to the chaos. No need. I don't have any illusion.
Exactly. You don't, yeah.
Mm. I know nothing's special, but this sure as shit feels special. This space definitely feels it to me.
Mm. Oh, yeah. It's because of people like you.
Thank you.
Yeah. Thanks so much, Clee. I really appreciate it.